What's up, Canes fans? Miami just got a huge commitment from their top defensive tackle target in the portal, Simeon Barrow out of Michigan State. When Jared Harrison Hunt left, we said Miami was confident they would upgrade, and they have done it with Simeon Barrow. We're going to talk about the impact of this commitment. Shout out to Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. But let's get into this massive, massive commitment for the Miami Hurricanes, bringing in Peter Ariz. Peter, people were scared when Jared Harrison Hunt left. Defensive tackle was thin to begin with. You lose your most experienced defensive tackle. A lot of, the portal could have been barren. You could have been stuck, but you ended up getting somebody who you feel is an upgrade and who the market is treating as an upgrade, beating out LSU for Simeon Barrow.
Listen, the offensive linemen, probably offensive tackles and interior pass rushers, other than quarterbacks, obviously, are probably the hardest thing to come by in the transfer portal, the hottest commodity. With Simeon Barrow, it's interesting, right? A defensive lineman, a defensive tackle, a lot of times you're projecting, right? You're trying to say, well, this guy has the size, he has the athletic ability, he's shown flashes. With Simeon Barrow, you're getting a guy, as I'll pull up the stats here, as you'll see on his profile here, who's been a productive player since the day he stepped on campus. Right off the bat as a freshman in 2021, 34 tackles, 3 sacks. Follows that up with 40 tackles, 4 sacks. Last year, 36 and 3.5 sacks, right? So we watched the tape, a couple weeks ago when his name first popped on the radar, D, and disruptive is the word that I would use. He's not going to eat up, 2 blockers. He's not going to be a space eater in there. He's not a 315, 320-pound defensive lineman. But you talk about Jared Harrison Hunt and what he was, who was a very good player, a solid player at Miami, but 280 pounds or so, right? You're getting a guy now 290, 295, and again, has been a productive player at this level.
Yeah, I think with comparing the two, similar size, I agree. Barrow's a little bit bigger, similar quickness, but I think Barrow just is more consistent with his toughness, more consistent with his effort, just a more consistent player, a team captain, which makes a big difference. Looking at the measurables, he was 6'2", 252 out of high school, projected as a defensive end according to 247, had a verified 4.44 shuttle, which is blazing. Tremendous lateral quickness. Just for comparison, On3 just did a big study of the top 3-round defensive tackles over the past few years, and they average in high school 4.71. So that's significantly faster than the average top 3-round defensive tackle in high school, going from 4.7 to 4.44, which is what Simeon Barrow was doing. Of course, he was lighter. Ended up growing from 6'2", 252 to 6'3", 290. 2-time honorable mention All Big Ten. He's an older guy. He'll be 22 all season. I believe he turns 22 in July, from Grovetown, Georgia, next to Augusta, Georgia. I know that's one of your favorite spots, Pete. And this is somebody who I think just brings maturity, win-now attitude, and an urgency to the defensive tackle position, which we did not have last year with someone like Leonard Taylor, who had all the talent in the world, but ultimately did not get drafted because the urgency wasn't there.
And D, something I look at in the transfer portal is who else is going after these guys, right? You look at LSU was another big-time contender for his services. Missouri historically has produced defensive linemen. Florida State, we heard early on, was very much in the mix before, of course, we got these tweets from the FSU reporters and fan base saying Miami is paying too much now. So, I mean, you're starting to see these things play out, and you understand that this was a big-time priority for Miami in the portal.
Yeah, defensive tackle has always been a big money position, especially when the supply is very limited like it is in the transfer portal. So I think this is what Miami needed to accomplish here. In the future, Miami needs to be like Miami's been in the past. Miami really, of all the positions they've been great at, defensive tackle to me is the key to their success. You look at Jerome Brown, right? Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Warren Sapp. When they won the championship, You had Vince Wilfork, you had Matt Walters, you had William Joseph, another first-round pick. So you had a lot of NFL talent at that position when Miami's been really, really good. It has slipped lately. Barrow is not that first-round guy. I think this is a bridge to hopefully the Justin Scotts, the Artavius Jones, the Armando Blunts, maybe a Josh Horton, developing into those dudes with the size, the athletic ability, and what you want at that position as far as a top-of-the-line pro like Georgia's been pumping out. That's where Miami wants to get to. I think Barrow's a great bridge because him, CJ Clark, the transfer from NC State, and also Marley Cook, the transfer from Middle Tennessee State. These are guys that play hard, productive, old, experience, urgent, trying to produce now and win now before they go on to the next level and bring a maturity to that position, which will allow us to compete right now as the young guys come up to age.
And in those pass rushing situations, those 3rd and longs, those 2nd and 15, 2nd and 20s, where those defensive linemen are going to be able to pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. Barrow probably going to get some one-on-ones, which, again, you and I were watching some of his highlights, some of the film, right? And that's where he excels when he's able to get, one-on-one with some of these interior offensive linemen that he's quicker than, where you got a 3rd and long and you have Reuben Bain, you have Elijah Alston, Tyler Barron. We don't know what's going to happen there, but potentially he's a guy who could be in the mix there. Akeem Mesidor, right? So that's where I think he could really shine, is on some of these pass rushing situations as well.
No doubt. And I got to say, we watched this film. We were watching Harmon and him at the time, right? Because that was when both of them were visiting Miami. Harmon ultimately didn't make it into the program to visit. He's going to Oregon. Harmon was clearly the bigger athlete, younger, more athletic, not say more athletic, but the size athleticism combo, more of an NFL draft prospect, Harmon. But when you watch the games, and tell me if you disagree, Simeon Barrow was the one that was consistently flashing with his activity, with his playmaking in the backfield, with his just relentless attitude and quickness, use of hands. He was, to my eyes, comparing him to Harmon, the better college player, at least at this stage. Obviously, I understand why teams want Harmon. Oregon knows what they're doing in the portal. He brings that size and that upside and to be an NFL player. But I really do think, and Pete, tell me if you disagree, that we were watching both with the same eyes. Barrow was the one that kind of kept flashing as a right now player.
A couple things that you hear about from evaluators to the next level when you look at defensive linemen is finishing plays and motor. 2 things that stuck out to me with Barrow. Again, Harmon, huge body. I mean, you're talking about a 6'4", 6'5", 315, 320, can eat up blocks there and let some guys behind him make plays. But Barrow is a guy who he finishes plays, right? It's one thing to be disruptive, which he is, but the ability to then finish the play off himself and show that motor, So that's at the defensive line position, to me, two of the things that I know they look at for the next level. And in terms of making an impact right away, I think that's something Barrow will show you right off the bat.
So defensive tackle, you're for sure looking at Barrow. You're looking at Marley Cook. You're looking at CJ Clark, probably CJ Clark first on that list, even though I listed him last. And then you're going to have a battle with the young guys, right? So now a young player has an opportunity to step up, whether it's a Justin Scott, a Josh Horton, an Anthony Moden, who's entering his 3rd year, kind of a right now year. Anthony Campbell. These are names that you want to see really step up and be that 4th defensive tackle, preferably a younger name who's going to have that upside for the future. But again, if someone else older takes the job, great. You need somebody to be that guy. And I think Miami in the portal, they said we did not want to get somebody who was just going to be a body to step over our young guys. If we get someone in the portal for defensive tackle or 2 people at defensive tackle, we want them to be dudes and real players. And Barrow certainly fit the bill. The top defensive tackle in the portal, according to several publications. LSU wanted him, like you said, Pete. This was a highly desired target that Miami was able to bring home. Shout out to Coach Joe, Jason Taylor, Mario Cristobal, Dennis Smith, the whole operation for bringing this one home.
It's another big pickup, D, and we've been all over these transfer portal acquisitions. If you have not checked out some of the other instant reaction podcasts we've done, it was a big weekend for Miami, and this is another important get. We'll see if they have anything else on the horizon here, D, but I think Simeon Barrow is a guy who's definitely going to be a big part of that defensive line rotation. And again, he was coveted, right, by not only, obviously Miami wanted him, but LSU. I said it, Missouri is a school that produces pass rushing talent, that produces defensive line, first round talent consistently. And to me, this is a no-brainer for Miami and a guy who's going to be an impact player for the Canes this season.
And Texas was after him. Texas, who just produced Byron Murphy, the first-round pick, similar size. So, yeah, good company. Miami comes out on top, and this just puts the cherry on top of the portal class. They still are not done, but we're getting close to done. I think the defense coming out of spring really needed the most work, and someone like this, someone like Deani Hill, who we've talked about, Jalen Alderman, you're starting to put the pieces together on the defensive end. Still more work to be done, but I think Miami's getting close to being where they want to be on the defensive side of the ball.
Keep it locked on Canes Insight. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We have it coming every day. We're almost at that 6,000 subscriber mark, D. So let's get there. Canes fans, appreciate everyone's support. Sign up for Canes Insight, completely free website. Have all of this stuff in written form as well. Thank you all for supporting. Go Canes.
Go Canes.